Okay, everyone, welcome to the Pro Trade Room Plus. We are here for Netflix earnings and Tesla's earnings. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember all the trades we discuss for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully, please. And let's get started. I want to welcome all of our friends on YouTube. This is our stream of the week. So hello, everybody on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so this is really the first big earnings. Used to be our official earnings of the quarter. Netflix. In the old days, it used to be Alcoa that everybody used to look at. The aluminum manufacturer, aluminium, now is pronounced. Um, but what's happened is everything changes. It's just the way of life. And nowadays, we're seeing more earnings starting earlier. The banks are doing their earnings earlier. So Netflix is the first official FANG stock, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. And it's always an exciting event. So I want to welcome everybody for Netflix. Last quarter, we had a little bit of a strange occurrence. I missed the trade because there really wasn't a very impactful response, and it just didn't really burst one way or the other, and I just completely missed the trade, and that occasionally happens, but I do have video of it. Let's take a look at the event, because sometimes when things are not as expected, it could just take place in a way that doesn't get you in the trade. So earnings are definitely a completely different method and a completely different animal than any of the other trading that we do. So let me make sure I've got the right everything set here. So it was April. And the thing about Netflix is they are quite reliable about the time that they release their earnings. It's generally just a little bit after 4 p.m. It's a little bit too close to 4 p.m. for me personally. I wish it was a little bit later because I'd rather have it get released 30, 40 seconds after rather than the possibility of 12 seconds after. Now, this apparently was their move. Now, I have to go back. I watched the video, but I didn't listen to it. But normally, Netflix would have been over between 4 p.m. and 4:30. And I was watching the Netflix stock on a different screen. So here's what my research is leading me to believe will happen today. This is what I think will happen today. There's no guarantee with earnings because there's just no guarantee that they're going to always follow the same protocol in terms of the times that they release their earnings. If we go back to January for Netflix, it was a more traditional event. And it's 4 o'clock. Our orders go on the chart pretty close after 4. And the earnings come out pretty quickly. by 4:00 and 15 seconds. They're out, and you get a little bit. You get the pop. It wound up being a very nice pop. So the earnings came out around 4:00:13. So here's the thing about Netflix. In the past more than 2 years, they have not released their earnings earlier than 16:00:13. Nope, I take it back. They have not released their earnings before 08. Way back in 2020, they released their earnings in 08. That's the only time it was before 13, the 13 seconds. So probably we should put our orders on the chart at 05. I mean, that's, that would be the thing to do. Put our orders on 05. Let me just make sure my streaming is working properly. So I hope, I don't know if anyone could hear me. Let me just re-welcome everybody. Okay, I do want to thank you all for watching us on YouTube. So thank you. This is our stream of the week. Okay, so we also have the issue of Tesla. And IBM is also releasing as well. And it is expected. So here's what my research has shown. IBM, Netflix, so is 16:00:05 is probably the right time to put the orders on. Tesla, the right time to put the orders on, depending on how volatile the markets are after the Netflix earnings, 16:03:15. And Tesla usually doesn't release before 16:04, but they now have had 2 quarters where they have released before 16:04, but not before 16:03. So Tesla seems to be trending just a tiny bit earlier, Is it possible to trade all three? I don't think IBM, probably not that interested in trading IBM. I've done a bunch of testing and it's very, very inconsistent. Sometimes it doesn't even move the instrument, the NQ. And it is a stock that it just has a history of trading with other companies. And sometimes it moves, sometimes it doesn't. So it's just not as consistent trade, and we haven't traded it that often because we've always been preoccupied with other events on the same day. So it's been easy to miss it. And with the research, there's quite a few, not quite a few, but there are days, quarters where it just doesn't seem to respond. The earnings come out, and it's really just not very impactful. Whereas you're almost always going to get a response from Tesla, you're almost always going to get a response from Netflix, and the big fangs generally give us the bigger moves. So let's set up our Netflix. Netflix, I would be surprised if they're not on time. It's really years that they've been consistent with their time. It's not like we're looking at 2 quarters. I'm looking at, more than 8 quarters. And they're extremely reliable with their time of release. So let me get my template. So because there's great reliability, then Netflix can be a breakout trade. It shouldn't be all that much waiting around, although it has gone as long as 16:04:00, 4 o'clock and 59 seconds back in October 19th of 21, it looks like. We were 16:00:59. So there certainly are times when it can go on a little bit later. Sorry. Yeah, a little bit later. So what we're going to do on Netflix is the bracket of 65. And I've got targets of 30, 60, and 130. You can do ranges anywhere between 20 and 150 ticks if you like. Netflix sometimes can move really big. I think certainly there's going to be a strong move. Obviously, we'd like it if it's all in one direction. We would prefer that, of course. And our stop is 65. I'm just doing a regular breakout trade. Nothing fancy in the trade. I always check our bracket width by putting the time to 0. And that's a nice size bracket. If we need to adjust, so I'll put the time back to 16, which is 4 p.m. And just a reminder of all the tools that I use to help me with the trades. I'm using Thinkorswim, and I'm using a multi-broker account. I'm just checking to make sure I've labeled that my template has the trade labeled. Netflix, it does. Apply it. Okay. So we use a multi-broker account. We need to make sure that we're connected to TD Ameritrade, which is our live stock prices, and our regular account. And then we also have to make sure that we are using on data series that our trading hours are default 24/7. We know that we need to be set that way so we see the after hours stock prices. And we're looking at the actual stock price that's coming in to us from Thinkorswim. And I also am watching Tesla and IBM just in case, it's always possible they could release early. I don't expect it. It seems like most of these 3 companies have been quite reliable in the way that they release their earnings. And then other tool that we use to figure out when these earnings are being released, which is important, obviously. And it's been driving me crazy this month. Every major website that I use has been redoing themselves with new graphics, new setups. Just makes my life so much more complicated. I don't want to learn how to do new things, right? I have enough things to worry about. And there are a lot of stocks today. So, might be that only Netflix is going to be tradable because you got Tesla, you got United Airlines, Kinder Morgan, you got some major stocks at a similar time. So, if the market does not look or appear to be behaving safely, you don't have to just automatically put a trade on. We have to watch and see how the market's behaving. Tesla, they generally don't release their earnings. Like I said before, it's usually between 16:03:30 and 16:06. That's what we've seen. So it can be, I'm not going to say it's tricky. I'm just going to say that it's got a little bit of a larger range than, say, Netflix. So Netflix, I'm expecting, Chantal, really their 160013 was their most recent one. 14 was 2 quarters ago, 3 quarters ago. 420.00 and 21 seconds 3 quarters ago. 4 quarters ago was 20 seconds after the close. 40 seconds after the close 5 quarters ago. 59 seconds after. So it's almost always been less than a minute after the close, with pretty good reliability. Let's check our time sync. By going to the website, time is, that checks my computer to see if it's in sync. Now, the one thing I don't like about using the scaling on default. See, right now, my chart price is scaling default. If you scale it yourself by changing the scaling, by shrinking or enlarging the scaling, what sometimes happens is we don't see a gap down. When you click the F button, the scaling keeps the price on the chart no matter what. So even if there's a gap, the price will still stay on the chart. So it's good and bad. It's good because you're always seeing the price, but it just looks out of size. In other words, the default scaling makes the action right now, the price action, look significantly bigger than it really is. Because that's 481. I mean, it's actually a pretty decent sized move. It almost leads me to think they've released their earnings early. But they've never done that. It's before the close. I think we're just seeing volatility in the stock. They're not going to release their earnings before 4 p.m. It would be almost unheard of. It's possible. But that's a pretty darn big move in the stock. What's interesting is it's not really accompanied by much movement in the NQ. So it should be interesting today. Does anybody have any questions? Everybody understand? So the setup that we're using, it's a breakout trade, putting my orders on the chart 160005. I have targets. Your targets don't have to be exactly mine. Anywhere between 20 and 150 we've used in the past. The stop is 65, and it's a breakout trade. And I've just got it labeled Netflix. And I'm also looking, see, when I have more normal scaling, it doesn't look quite as dramatic in terms of the price move. So I also like to watch the Thinkorswim charts. I don't know what to call that company, Thinkorswim or TD Ameritrade or Charles Schwab. I guess if you're using the platform, it's Thinkorswim. If you're logging in on the website, is it TD Ameritrade? Yeah, I think it's TD Ameritrade. And then Charles Schwab is if you're 90 years old, then you log into Charles Schwab. You have to be 90 and over, I think, to log into Charles Schwab. So I guess I could log into Charles Schwab. I'm 92. Anil, we do not have DMMs for earnings trades. So the setup is a breakout trade, activating at 16:00:05. Bracket is 65. Targets between 20 and 150, and the stop is 65. And absolutely, you could trade the MNQ if you want to as well. So let's take a look at another Netflix. If we go back to the 19th of July, 22. Now this was right at the close. This video started right at the close. Our orders were already on the charts. And boom, Netflix just came out really quickly. And I had moved my charts to the side a little bit. It was hard to see. Sometimes in the excitement of trading earnings, things can happen. So this was already, the orders were on the chart at 16:00:11. You could see the stock is already acting very volatile. And I had moved my charts a little bit to the side. That's why it was hard to see the price. And that was a small one. That was just a small winner. Just the NQ just had a small move. It wasn't that big. Even though the stock looked like a pretty good sized move that quarter. And October 18th. Okay, 4 o'clock, orders on the chart. And a quick burst up on that one. So it can be, Netflix can be pretty quick. Netflix can be pretty quick. The idea is the orders go on the chart and we get pulled into the trade as usual when the earnings come out. Well, we don't try to guess if we think the earnings are going to be good or if they're going to be bad. There's always, you never know. And sometimes you could just get a very good move and then the market has time to digest the earnings and it winds up being a completely different direction after we're done. That happens as well. All right. So keeping an eye on all the charts. We've checked our time sync. And our orders will go on the charts at, what did we say, 5 seconds. 5 seconds after the close. So who's trading? Who's trading? Anybody joining in on the fun? And what are you trading? NQ, gold, ES probably moves pretty good, I would think, on Netflix, I bet. MNQ for Sanders, Steve for a reversal, okay. So we'll see what happens. It's always interesting. Always a lot of pre-stock movement on Tesla. Tesla tends to have a lot of stock movement before the report. So, it's the research that allows us to find these settings. So you have a lot of years where a lot of quarters where most of the time it seems like the most common time for their earnings is between 10 and 21 seconds. That's their most common release time. Right. Steve, I know. I didn't even talk to you about what kind of machine you were going to get. But for reversals, you could trade a futures platform. What platform are you on? All right, so we've only got about 5 minutes, not even 4.5 minutes. Everybody check their time sync. Make sure that your charts are on the right account that you're trading. You have your brackets correct. So Netflix, you wonder if the writer's strike and all of that is going to have an effect on any of these earnings, on this particular earnings. It's possible. So we're just being patient now. The market, I don't think I've ever seen an instance where earnings came out before the close. They won't because they announce it. Their release time is after the close. I can't imagine they would ever do that. All right, so we're getting there. So one of the issues is will we be able to have enough time to trade Tesla? I have a template. It doesn't take very long to load it and to put their chart on. It can be tricky to gauge the volatility of the market at the moment that, at the couple of minutes before they're getting to release. Tesla, their moves have been more difficult the past couple of quarters. And earnings really are not that different from a lot of our regular news trades, in terms of the types of moves that we get, just that the moves sometimes are quite a bit bigger. But the procedure and everything is not all that different. In the beginning, we didn't know we could really count on breakout trades years ago when we first started doing these trades. Sandra, the setting for trade hours is data series. You right click the chart and click on data series. And then under trading hours, you set it to default 24/7. But that's only if you're connecting with a multi-broker account. Doesn't have anything to do with the futures. All right, we got 30 seconds. So the market will close. The orders will show up. Just a couple of seconds after the close. So Tesla, their earnings are out. Okay, so it reversed. Darn, it didn't hit my second target. I only made 555. It didn't hit my second target. It just, if you saw what happened, folks, the earnings came out before, about a second before I think our earnings charts came on. Now, we don't want to waste a lot of time chatting. I may not want to trade Tesla. Tesla, like I said, it has not been a good profit center. So we made 500. I made about 510 on Tesla. Let's get a quick roll call. I think our setup kept us safe. I would think that everybody should have been safe, I would hope. I want to be honest, it's so stressful. I don't even recall if I pressed the adjust button or not. That's why I'm not 100% certain that our setup was safe. I think it was. And Netflix missed, but there was a gigantic burst to the upside that didn't cause a gigantic burst in the NQ. It's very interesting because sometimes we see these gigantic early bursts that aren't the actual release, you know? And it's really fascinating because it doesn't affect the NQ as much as we would think that it should. There's the move. So I'm looking at Tesla now. And like I said, I have very mixed feelings about Tesla. It's been a difficult trade. Our last two have not been winners, the last two quarters. So if I were, the setup that I have for Tesla is less contracts, just a couple. Now you can trade MNQ on Tesla if you want. Tesla's a big bracket. I agree with Arthur. It could be a very big move. There's so much attention on Tesla, so much attention. So 1603.15 is when I'm putting my orders on. I'm using a big bracket, Arthur. So putting the orders on at 1603.15, and their orders usually, their earnings almost always come out before 1605. I take that back, before 1606. They're almost always between 1603.30 and 1604.50. I got to get ready here. I don't want to miss it. So I have my template. It's already 1603. So I guess I'm trading it. Let's take a look at the market. So in theory, Tesla's supposed to be 1605. In theory. So look, if we get a burst, then we'll get filled. I don't like the chop in their stock. So they beat and they missed. They beat and they missed. That's why I canceled the trade. They beat and they missed. Okay. Maybe it's going to go down. Maybe it's looking like a negative trade. But to me, that was mixed earnings. And you know what? It's working. So people that traded it, you're going to make some money. You're going to make some money. I'm okay because Tesla's been real tough. It's been real tough. Good for you, Langford. Okay. So I'm a little bit sorry I didn't just throw on MNQ for it. It was a little bit quick to do it so fast right after Netflix. Not as big a move as Netflix, but it was more of a steady move rather than a burst. I was really thinking maybe we'd see more of a burst. But you know what? I don't have a problem, folks. Making 500 on one is perfectly okay. You go to the next one, you go to the next one, you go to the next one. It's okay. Some people got it. Some people got them. Now, IBM is just a watch. IBM is just a watch. The problem is, I mean, I do think I know what time they're going to come out, but I don't think it's definite that there's going to be a move. Now, look at the stock. It might. It's a little bit confused there. IBM is 16 is right now, honestly. It's right about now. Orders go on the chart 1607.30. 1607.30 for IBM. Throwing MNQ. Throwing MNQ on. I don't think IBM is out yet. I'm not sure I can get my setup on fast enough. And like I said, IBM, not a big, it's been very inconsistent, very inconsistent. We'll do a roll call in a minute. Targets of 20 and 60 with a bracket of 40. Targets of 20 and 60 with a bracket of 40. 1607.40 with the orders if you want to trade it. You know, theoretically, you would be putting your orders on now. I think IBM, darn it, you know what I did? I put my charts in Sim by accident. The order, it's out. It's out. So I'm going to just let it trade in Sim. Look at the explosive move in IBM stock, but not an equivalent move in this futures. So I would cancel IBM. That's not a trade. It's not exploding. And that's what I've seen half the time. No explosion. So I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it. Okay? Not worth trading it. Let's take 2 minutes to take a breath. Let's just take a breath. Oh yeah, Tesla's out. Tesla's out. Some people made money on it. IBM's out. I'm hearing it. It's 100% out. Tesla and IBM. So okay, let's do a roll call. Let's back up. Let's back up. Let's back up. Who traded Netflix? Who traded Netflix? And how much did you make? Who traded Netflix? How much did you make? Now I realized, and I'm sorry that this was very fast. We should have, you know, lesson learned. Too many companies at once. I should have set them up earlier for you, well before the trade, instead of looking at videos. So I want to apologize for that. I should have set up the Tesla trade earlier. So I'm sorry about that. We've got a whole lot of other sessions, so don't be frustrated. I'll make sure that I'm super clear with enough time on the next sessions. I think because there were 3 so close to each other, what I should have done is set all the trades up at 3:30. So live and learn. Live and learn. I really was thinking Netflix. That's the truth. I was really thinking Netflix. Okay, so Sander traded MNQ, which is a very nice trade for Netflix, 43 on MNQ. Andrew, 190, nice trade on Netflix. Eva, 160 on Netflix. Doc, 300. AJ, $120. Good. Langford, Netflix. And I do want to thank everybody for watching on YouTube. This is a great way to trade earnings. It's tricky. Sometimes you have to really, really be quick, but it definitely has a great opportunity for profit once you get used to the way you have to set the trades up. Very different than the morning trades. And I say that because tomorrow morning we've got 2 trades. We've got Johnson & Johnson, which I think should be a tradable move. And is it American Airlines tomorrow? It's one of the airlines tomorrow. It's and a new one. We're going to get up early and see if Taiwan Semiconductor moves the markets, and American Airlines. So Taiwan Semi is a very important company. I thought maybe it's worth a shot to see if they move the markets. Okay, so Langford made 430 on Netflix. Who made money on Tesla? Who made money on Tesla? I did not see Snap on the schedule for tomorrow. Did they add them? I hope that's not the case. So let's take a look at Earnings Whispers. Go to the calendar. I hate the way they've changed it. Oh my God. So they've made it so everything is different now. I'm gonna have to spend time with this calendar now, because I don't know their system now. They've completely changed it. Yeah, Tesla had mixed. I heard in my headset that it was mixed, and that I didn't see an explosion in the price, so that made me hesitate. On letting it fill, because I wasn't sure what direction would be viable, honestly. So what a mess they've made of this website now. It's, you go to the calendar and there's no calendar. So this is, now I have to refigure out the whole calendar. Or if now maybe they're making it so you have to pay to do it. So what a pain. Very frustrating. Anyway, so for now, we will be back tomorrow morning. So a couple of people made money on Tesla, though. Langford, what were you saying about Snap? What were you saying about Snap? Now, Tesla stock is not that far off, obviously, from where it was at the time of the earnings. So anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? So Netflix, once again, is a rewarding trade. I definitely did not see Snap. What time did you see them listed, Langford? What time? They weren't, when I checked the schedule, they were not on it. Arthur, what were you saying about there being a good chart of earnings for, what was it, TD Ameritrade login? Is that what you're saying? TD Ameritrade login? Toss? You mean toss? Because maybe I'm an idiot, but with earnings whispers, I'm not even getting a list. So if somebody wants to help me out here, I can't believe how they've changed this website. I don't want the whisper report. I don't want news. So I'm just going to have to go through the whole darn website now. We used to use the weekly calendar. So I just have, I'm going to have to set up an account. So I'll set up my account when I leave here. Click on, okay, you're saying Thinkorswim. So before I go, let's see if we can find an alternative calendar. Okay, so yeah, so I want to thank everybody on YouTube. You watched us make money on earnings, so definitely this was our stream of the week, everyone. Sign up, give us a like on your way out, and we'll see you next week for our free stream of the week. So thanks everybody on YouTube for watching.